Well, welcome back to Krown's Crypto Cave. Another pound of ground beef down and ready to go once again as it is Friday. And I do want to wish you a nice little Friday as well because doesn't really matter what day it is actually because cryptocurrency is 24/7. No rest for the wicked once again this weekend. And this weekend probably shaping up to be quite a wicked one regardless of the fact. Anyways, we have plenty to talk about today. I'm going to be talking about a lot of options actually. So if you do want to, or if you don't want to hear about any sort of options talk, then just fast forward through like the first couple minutes. Anyways, without further ado, as always, wish you the best and the happiest of the happiest. And let's get into the live scene right here, right now, as we wrap up the beautiful day and hit that button. Hit the teleportation, and I'll see you in there, baby. And there she is. Deribit account going on right now. I was going to say Bitcoin on the daily. No, not necessarily. Looking at my Deribit account right now, I do want to show my long positions, which are actually uncovered as of yesterday. So I really want to talk about and do a slight dive into how to roll over positions as things expire. So yesterday, or sorry, I guess not yesterday, but early this morning, about like 6 or maybe 8 hours ago, we actually had expiration for our current week on options. And so I was fully covered on this position right here. I basically had sold a shit ton of in the money calls, which netted me somewhere out at like an average price of about 11,300, 11,500, which I'm quite happy about. Yes, I didn't get the whole move, but that's not the point of options. Options are there to hedge and to kind of pull in things rather than play the good old cat and mouse game. Anyways, looking at this right on over here, as you can see, I am long from 9750-ish region. That was a cover against my actual short calls weeks ago. So you can see how these things kind of, go forwards in time. But more importantly, I've held on to that position since then and had several expirations, expire, I suppose. So how do I manage this going forwards? As I'm pretty long, especially for this account right here. I'm about 50 Bitcoins long, which again, this is my streamer account. I don't feel all that comfortable having like big deltas on, on a streamer account. But this one's actually grown up quite a bit. So going forwards here, what do I do? Essentially, as soon as we get this next expiration, well, what do? I go over here to my calls and puts, and if I can bring up the page, that would be even better. Jesus Christ, come on, Deribit. Deribit's actually been a lot better recently. For all the shit that I've been talking, Deribit has been operating a little bit better. It does not do the what's it called, like the try to reconnect all the fucking time now. So it's it's a positive step. Anyways, looking at the strikes right here, I've started to actually short some of these already. So as you can see, I've shorted about 28 contracts, which against my 50 contracts, not going to do the whole kit and caboodle, but I'm not intending to do that. What I want to do as soon as we get this next expiration is short some so that I can essentially in a way take profit on them. Although I have to wait about a week as they do expire literally 1 week from today on the 16th of August, next Friday essentially. And what I'll do going forwards here is, because I am still bullishly biased, I actually will short a little bit out of the money. So I'm shorting these 12,000 strike calls right here in anticipation for this actually going above and breaking our next resistance into the next level. So obviously my gains would be capped per contract at $500 plus whatever difference I bought, the spot versus where the strike is. So in this case, $12,000 strike. I think I uncovered late last night at about 11.5 or 11.6. So that would mean, another $400 on top of that. And I sold these guys for about a little bit above $500, I believe. I'm in profit right here, so I'm guessing I sold these guys from about for about like 0.5 Bitcoin. So what am I looking at then? Well, basically what I'm thinking then is if we actually do go on the money, if we actually do take that next leg to the upside, because again, I am bullishly biased on the higher time frames, then essentially what I'm looking for is these contracts to be, all ridden for. Essentially, they're giving me 500, or I guess more than $500, about almost $600 premium per contract. So that's going to put it at 12.6 plus, again, the difference between where I uncovered this morning, which was about 11.6, and the strike price, which is 12,000. So that's 400 plus about 600, so that's $1,000 per contract, and this is rolling over as time goes, right? So it's not just this week, but it's also the week prior and the week before that, and I mean really the week before that as well, because this has been just an ongoing process. But you can see in a dynamic environment how I make this work, regardless of kind of where we are within this phase. All I need is that overall general bullish outlook on the higher time frames, and then I can construct a strategy like this. Just like last year when it was to the downside, I was basically doing the same thing but with puts and then selling selling coins. Anyways. So what I'm going to do now is this gives me multiple options with how to go forwards here. If I'm wrong, if my bias is wrong to the upside and we actually turn down, we get rejected quite hard within this region that we're in right now, which we'll get to in a bit, then what I'll do is I'll just end up shorting more of the in the money calls. And because there's such massive fucking premiums on them, I'll still be able to make money on that. I mean, these 11,500 strike calls right now have $800 premium on them. Holy shit. Holy fucking shit. That ain't going anywhere, especially with this far away, or sorry, this close, or sorry, this far away from expiration. These 11,000 strike calls are trading for, a buck 11. Jesus fucking Christ! It's like you can't go wrong right now. I mean, of course you can. Famous last words, no doubt about that. Don't have some hubris in your life. But my point is that if things were to turn down, if we get rejected, what do? I just short the next in the money strike, and that allows me to collect the premium on this one and still collect the difference on the strike price. Sorry, on the strike price plus premium minus where I entered on the actual spot contracts. So I'm still making money on all sides. In fact, I'd almost prefer it to go down because then I could just, add on more and more and more. However, in this case, life is a lot easier when things just go up and, fill it and are in the money. So if we do go to the upside by the same token, if we break that next $12,000 level, I probably won't immediately cover them. There's no real reason to, because that's the next kind of frontier for Bitcoin on the lower time frames, and even having lead on over into the higher time frames. But what I'll do is I'll probably end up shorting some more of these 12,500 strike or 13,000 strike calls just for premium. And kind of watch from there. Ideally, things do go up, and I actually don't cover them immediately. I'll just kind of let things roll, as we are at a major point in the price action. Sorry, major pivot point on price action. So speaking of, let's actually get into the fucking charts right now. Probably bored people to death with all that options talk. Let's talk about some goddamn Bitcoin. So first and foremost, I see that all major moving averages are in a bullish posture right here, confirmed as of a couple days ago. We have the red 10 symbol now above the yellow 21, which if you've viewed my technical analysis 101 playlist, in the later end of the playlist, there is a strategy this strategy is kind of revealed, but it's pretty damn simple. Basically when they cross the upside, bullish. When it crosses the downside, bearish. It's not going to always be perfect, especially during periods of consolidation. You're going to get some fake signals, but as you can see, Bitcoin's actually played off of it pretty well. To be fair, even on like the less than perfect ones, it's still actually given some pretty damn good trades. The last bullish cross that we got was right in over here from 8,000, leading all the way to 14,000. The time before that was right in over here during middle of February, leading up all the way to that 8,000 high. And then the last cross to the downside that we had was right in over here. You do see a little bit of a fake out right here during this consolidation, during the changing winds of the market, but that's not what this is designed for. And even during the bear market right in over here, the crosses actually did net a positive gain, but they were severely limited in their actual P&L. It was nowhere near as good as what we saw during the bearish one right here, and then the bullish ones that we saw these last couple ones. So anyways, those two things really stick out to me right now. And of course, I'm most comfortable with looking at moving averages because that's what I've spent the most time really learning with, and that's what my mentor pretty much trades exclusively. I mean, he'll look at like RSI and stochastics every once in a while, but mainly just exponentials. And so I feel most confident with that. And I would say that this is, an overall bullish posturing. The structure of this is very corrective, which would imply that it's, going to be resolved to the upside. Everything looks all well and good here on the higher time frames. Don't get me wrong. Nothing's really changed there, and nothing really changes on the higher time frames on like a day-to-day basis. It really takes, weeks in a sense. And this has been more or less good. It's fine here. But on the lower time frames, that's where all the action is going down. So I did want to kind of start off a little bit more with the lower time frames today, just because it sets the pace, and I think more people are interested in lower time frames. Anyways, we're still kind of operating in a symmetrical triangle right on over here on the 4 hour. Support right around 11.6, we'll call it. Resistance right around, let's call it 12.50, be a little bit more conservative with it. And I would say that any sort of a break outside, or if we break to the upside, that will be major, because the measure move on this symmetrical triangle is pointing up significantly higher at about 12.6, 12.7 region, which more importantly, as you can see, would bring us above this blue box territory right here at about 12.3 to 12.4. Why is that one important? Well, I'm glad you asked, as I have this conversation with myself, going over here to my clean and clear Finex chart. If fucking TradingView could reload, thank you TradingView, so I don't have to autistically rage right now. But you do see these two trend lines right here. So I've essentially documented both of the ways of kind of looking at this one. And the first and foremost way, and my preferred way, is actually looking at dildo bodies. And if you're looking at dildo bodies, we technically already broke out. You can see today we're actually just coming back to test the the breakout right on over here. But this is actually not necessarily the most healthy response. If you get a big breakout like this, you want to see continuation almost immediately, not like two more like literally 48 more hours to buy the dip essentially. And then more importantly, we have, or just as important, we have this trend line right here, which is looking at the wicks, right? And the wicks are actually coming in right around about 12.3, 12.4, that same area that we saw in the blue box territory. So more importantly, if we do confirm above that next area if we resolve the symmetrical triangle to the upside on the lower time frames, that's going to carry on over into taking us above that blue box territory, which brings us above this in turn, and that's going to really resolve the whole picture to looking like a major, massive macro breakout, trending extremely hard to the upside once again, to put it bluntly. And what I'm looking at right over here is that this is one massive flag essentially. It's not perfect in the way that I'm doing it, but it does operate okay with Bitcoin land. I think this works best maybe on like a 4 hour. I think it becomes most apparent. Yeah, it certainly looks a lot more like a flag right here with the regression line on the bottom. That's completely fine. The point is it's consolidation. The volume signature on this would be about proper for what you'd expect for some sort of massive long form consolidation, which I do believe that this is, and that would imply that this is going to have a bullish resolution. More importantly, it would also say that we can make a measure move on this baby, which is what we all came here for, because why not? Get your fucking targets out and flying around. And this one right over here could be extremely powerful. Even just using bodies, I mean, Jesus Christ, this would imply a target all the way up towards almost 17,000, high 16,000s to low 17,000s. I'd say it's more like a range. It's never going to be exact. It just gets kind of around the ballpark. Although we've had a lot of examples over this past year where they were exact. So I feel, I always feel dirty when I look at that. It's like it doesn't always work. It doesn't always work this well. It doesn't always work this well. Anyways, my point is that there's a lot of space overhead if Bitcoin wants to use it, and more importantly, looking at this from a long form, I would say that it all falls with the general construct or general construct of this consolidation. As it is, it looks good, is what I'm trying to say. Anyways, back on into the lower time frames as I go back to 4 hour right on over here, and I do want to talk about this a little bit more. So I'm not going to go through the whole like fucking spiel on this one. I've done it too many times and it's probably boring for people who have been here for a while, but I'll just briefly kind of summarize it and then talk about the new things that I've found. So I'm looking at the 4 hour right here, right? And just taking everything off, just only using moving averages, which I'm going to get rid of most of them actually right now. We're going to look at three different ones. We're going to look at the green and the purple, which is the 50 and the 200 exponentials. And then we're going to look at the white 200 simple moving average right on over here. The green and the purple, those are going to be referred to as the golden cross and death cross moving averages. I've actually gone through all the past examples of general upwards markets, which this is very much a general upwards market. If I can actually pull it out and show, there we go. And I've documented, on average, what typically is done during those death crosses and golden crosses, and this is across all the times for Bitcoin. With regards to only being in a macro uptrend, which again, this is most relevant to what we're doing right now. And on average, in the past, it took about 2 weeks to go from death cross to golden cross, and then after the golden cross was had, it took about either 2 months to 3 months on average to double up in price. Now, here's the thing. Bitcoin, what have we done right on over here? We took, I also forgot to mention this part. Also on average, the amount of damage done from death cross to low on that drive was about 10 to 20%, although a lot more variable. Anyways, my point is that I've gone through that in the past and found that this one right here is completely concurrent with what we've seen historically. This one takes about 2 weeks to go from death cross to golden cross on the 22nd of July to the 4th of August, just recently. And then how much damage should we have done to the downside? We see about 12.5% to the downside, so very much within the realm. So it does, it adds up. That's Bitcoin's personality. It seems to be how we've been playing these out. Anyways, like I said, 2 to 3 months later, on average, we double in price action. There are some outliers where we quite literally fucking quadruple in price. That's not what I'm thinking is going to go on here. I think even a 50% gain would be fucking massive, but a 2x from the golden cross right over here would put us actually at new all-time highs, about $20,400, $20,600, somewhere in that range right there. But again, over time, we're talking about months and months of price action here, which actually does line up quite well with the higher time frames, like the monthly and the quarterly, to be fair. Anyways, the other part of this, of what I was looking at right on over here, was kind of judging the next major momentous move. And I found that once we had the golden cross and we see both the golden cross moving averages, the exponentials that I'm using right here, migrate above the white 200 simple, that's actually when Bitcoin really started to accelerate, like actually like momentum being gained to the upside. And as you can see right here, what's about to happen in the next day or so, we're going to see that purple 200 exponential moving average cross above the white 200 simple right on over here, and that will line up with the signature. Now, I've also gone ahead and done something else. I also noticed, and this is where it gets a little bit more Jedi-like, I've also noticed that after we get both these two exponentials above the white 200 simple, each and every time we've tested down to either the 200 simple or the purple 200 exponential moving average, after that happened, we've come down there at least within about 1% of one of those moving averages, and tested it, and that was like the last big buying opportunity before price action just fucking flew. So what we're looking at right now is we're about to see the purple 200 exponential moving average, migrate above the white 200 simple, barring, assuming that Bitcoin doesn't dump like fucking $1,500 in the next 24 hours. Weirder things have happened, to be fair. A lot weirder things have happened, to be fair. But I'd say that it's a little bit less probable right now. Anyways, my point is that historically speaking, when that does happen, pretty much every time. I mean, within 1% every time. So it is a little bit concerning here that price action is quite far away from from these moving averages right down over here, which effectively they're only going to be around like 10.7 to 10.8 when we actually do get the cross. I mean, shit, it's actually going to be even a little, maybe a little bit lower than that, like 10.7 even. Anyways, my point is that with Bitcoin so far away from it right now, I mean, this is nowhere near like 1% away, because 1% away would put us right around about 10.8 to 10.9, which is not that close. Then it would kind of make me a little bit wary for a fake out here on this symmetrical triangle to the downside. That gets bought back on up, and then we get the actual trending move to the upside. That's tentatively, historically, what it would suggest. Now, as a trader, and we had a phenomenal discussion in the program Discord about this earlier today. As a trader, it doesn't matter. It actually doesn't matter which way this symmetrical triangle breaks. The way to trade it as a trader is 100% the same. If Bitcoin breaks the upside of this baby, I'll be happy to long it. I'll be happy to long, and with confirmation anywhere above about 12.50, 12.1 if you want to be a little more conservative, and I'll be targeting moves. I mean, we'll probably have a little bit of a pullback right here at about 12.3 to 12.4, but ultimately that would be real resolution to the upside. By the same token, if we do break to the downside at 11.6, then I'm not even looking to short this. I really don't want to be short the spot underlying, especially because, I have my options positions literally against it, so it wouldn't really help all that much, to be fair. It would kind of like destroy my strategy. But more importantly, what I'm more so inclined to do, especially given that the overall macro trend is the upside, is I'll just be waiting down here for a buy. So I don't care even if we break down here, because I'm not taking action regardless of it. Maybe I'll short some more calls, as I talked about before, but then I'll be set up to buy down here, so I can just load up more positions essentially, and it's actually less risk for me, or it's not less risk for me, but I can handle it, on my margin account essentially. So that's what I'm saying right now. As a trader, it doesn't matter. You don't need the crystal ball to make money. You just need to know how to fucking trade in order to make money, and that's like a big switch that I think a lot of people have. And you know what? I think I'm going to make a video on that at some point in the psychological series, because it's such a dubious thing. Like, we always want to be right with where price action goes, but being right on price action doesn't necessarily mean that you can actually capitalize on it and make money on it. Whereas I pride myself on sometimes being wrong and still being able to make money with the help usually of options, to be fair. So anyways, I'm gonna put on all these babies back on right here right now. That also means, though, as long as Bitcoin's above the white 200 simple or purple 200 exponential moving average, I'm not bearish at all whatsoever in the least sense. That does mean that we could have downside all the way to that region, but as far as a medium higher time frame and in macro look, no reason at all whatsoever to be bearish as long as we're above these two guys right here. If we break below them, is it a reason to be bearish? It's going to be the first major warning shot, and it really caused me to let go of a lot of my longs. Although technically speaking, I can't get full on fucking balls to the wall, red dildos out bearish until Bitcoin breaks back down below this blue box territory right on over here at about 94 or 9,500. If that could happen, I'm going to be making videos talking about fucking rings of capitulation too. But until that happens, not anytime soon. Anyways, for the most part, Bitcoin looks good here. Whether it breaks out, on the symmetrical triangle to the upside, or we break down first and then get picked up, I'm still looking in the same direction. Essentially, my bias is to the upside, as long as we're above those two pivots that we just spoke about. Anyways, let's look at our momentum oscillators, our mommy oscillators right now. We got 4-hour Stokes actually turning down, so a little bit, little bit of a downside bias, but just one of them being in that posturing doesn't destroy the whole story. 3-hour, what's 3-hour doing? We have 3-hour actually down as well, but weak. They're pretty much just stuck in the middle is what we see. 3-hour and 4-hour, for the most part, just weak. weak and kind of drifting in the middle. What about 2-hour and hourly? These ones have been pretty good recently, haven't they? As we see 2-hour having a fresh cross the upside. In fact, we do see a trend line forming here, to be fair. We also see a trend line forming to the downside right over here, right? So we're obviously all coming into the middle right now. And imagine that the hourly is probably somewhere in the middle as well. And what do you fucking know, man? It's right there in the goddamn middle. So my point is that we see our momentum oscillators. Essentially, they're not giving us any sort of insights into price action. This is pretty fucking neutral what we're seeing right over here. Which, if it's neutral, then we always run with the former trend essentially. So in this case, to the upside. But make no mistake, the thing that I've been saying most over the past few days is, hey, you can have your bias on this area right on over here, but more than anything, this is likely to go sideways, and I wouldn't really expect a major breakout until at the very earliest, probably tomorrow, wherever this area is right here, because this would be about 75% full. Let's actually do this out officially. Yeah, so if this is the apex right here on the 12th of August, I'd say somewhere right around here. So 10th, late in the day on the 10th of August or early of 11th of August, somewhere right around here, we probably see a break, whether it be to the upside or the downside. So I don't really have any sort of major rush to get into position right here. I don't really think anything's happening right now. Looking at historical volatility percentile, we are down, taking on the hourly, which is what you would expect to see during a formation like this. Just kind of confirms it, but again, it's not giving us insight into direction. It's telling us what we know, but it's confirming it, which is valuable. Of course, we do see that it's essentially downtrending right here, and you can make a nice little trend line as well, of course, and just use the moving average on it. It's one and the same essentially, but that's exactly what it should be doing right now. Let's go over to the 4-hour. However, how's the 4-hour doing? 4-hour is actually upticking. So the 4-hour trend is obviously trending to the upside. So there is a bias to the upside here based off the historical volatility percentile, because that is likely to carry on further and foremost. As you can see, we are quite literally uptrending after getting to a literal zero right on over here, which very rarely happens. And again, this is a mean reverting indicator, so it is designed to explode. And as we kind of put in a nice little consolidation right on over here, where the former trend was the upside, it would be certainly more bullish. So I don't want to make things one-sided here. There's plenty of things pointing in that direction. Last time that we saw, a zero read was back on over here in February before Bitcoin exploded to the upside. So it is a big deal. Anyways, going over here to the 12-hour, do we see anything on the 12-hour? Do I have all my moving averages there? Yeah, 12-hour looks a little bit more sloppy. We actually do have a little bit of bearish divergence on the 12-hour as well, although I could very easily argue that we've already played it out. But if we do play it out further, I'd be looking at a test down to the 21, which is 11.2, which would be pretty fucking concurrent with the downside target. By the way, I forgot to mention that I think I completely whiffed to mention this, but if we do break out to the downside, guess where the measure move's pointed towards? Right in line with the 200 simple and 200 exponential moving average. You would put it within about 1% of them, so that'd be pretty damn good. So yes, we do have confluences to the downside. Make no mistake about it. But like I said, even if that did happen, I'd be looking to be a buyer most likely on that area. Of course, not financial advisor. I'm not a financial advisor, but I like the play nonetheless. Anyways, to talk about the higher time frames once again, as I haven't really talked too much about them on this video, although I've spent most of the other videos beating them to fucking death. We see daily Stokes still very much to the upside, although a little bit weaker in this region. We see daily RSI looking very constructive. It's getting rejected from the bullish control zone right now, but that's okay. That's to be expected after being away from it for so long. More importantly, we've just been oscillating between the bullish control zone and the neutral zone for the last couple months in this consolidation, which would imply that this is a bullish consolidation. Looking at the 2-day, we can even take this further. Structure, beautiful. Fucking this is a stairway to heaven right there. Fucking beautiful. 2-day Stokes, very, very strong, out of the bearish control zone for the first time in actually a very short stint. But more importantly, very much gaining momentum to the upside. And 2-day RSI looking very constructive as well, even a better signature than the daily, which I do think that the 2-day gets it even better. Do we have anything else to say on this chart? Not really. Nothing else too unique. Above all major moving averages, of course, and then 3-day, which actually just had a fresh cross the upside on the 3-day Stokes, which we see the 2-day right on over here, and the 3-day coming from about the same posturing, which very rarely happens, and of course the daily as well. Very rarely do we get all these guys on the same side as price action. The last time we saw them get on the same side of price action was actually back on over here during early February, and also, well, actually the last time we saw them get on the same side of price action was right on over here at the high on the 24th of June to the downside, which someone left a comment the other day which really left me scratching my head, which I probably shouldn't even care all that much about it, but he was saying, hey man, why do you just ignore the last time that we had them all headed down? It's like, what are you talking about, man? We had a fucking $5,000 move to the down. We had a 35% move to the downside the last time that we saw them all line up, counter to the macro trend. It's pretty fucking significant. It's pretty fucking significant. Because I guess he was trying to say that this is like not a significant piece of price action, but I was like trying to make that this one was a big one. Interesting. Very interesting sometimes to read people's reactions to what I'm saying and how it's kind of being interpreted. I do want to take some responsibility for that, of course, because if I'm quite literally, if I'm quite literally doing the talking, then there's obviously something about the way that I'm representing, my positions and my thoughts that I could probably do better on. But man, that one really threw me for a loop. Anyways, back onto it. 3-day RSI looking fine as well. Just oscillating between the bullish control zone and the neutral zone. In fact, this one even has a nice little formation on it. We have a nice falling wedge right on over here. In the falling wedge, while I don't necessarily think that you can make a full-on measured move in the same way that you could with price action, it would suggest that we at the very least get to like the top side of the bullish control zone, which right now, I like a lot of the signatures about what I'm seeing right over here. We did get back above the exponential as well, so I would say that overall a lot more positive things going on there. I like that the momentum oscillators are starting to turn back up around, and as Bitcoin kind of edges towards the resistance, like the major overhead resistance on this massive formation, which is building up a pretty fucking huge cause, which is going to be resolved into an even bigger effect. Anyways, go check out GBTC, which has closed for the weekend already. We are at 1488, so the week closes okay. I don't think this is like a phenomenal close. It's not like a fucking bound like bang on your fucking neighbor's door and tell them about your great day close. Not that you should do that because it'd be really fucking annoying. But we did close. Did we close above the above the last little highs? No, we did not actually. No, we did not. So actually a little bit is left unturned here, although we will confirm above the exponential on the RSI here, so I do like that. But not really getting actually too much out of this one, unfortunately. Looking at the daily, daily looks more or less fine. Just looks like it's kind of consolidating right here. We did get that positive bullish cross on these two moving averages, which we actually didn't get, or sorry, which happened later compared to spot. Looking at daily Stokes right here, looking fine, looking good. Looks like they want some more upside. But I still wouldn't put past another test of the red 10 simple on the daily right on over here. But other than that, on the whole, looks healthy. Looking at CMEs, our other subsidiary of Bitcoin spot markets, let's go right on over here to 11,945, which actually I believe did just close for the week. Yeah, okay, it's 6 p.m. my time. That means that it's definitely closed for the week. So we actually do get to see the weekly total close right now on both, on both GBTC and CMEs. CMEs look fine. This looks really, really good right here. I really like what I see. We don't get to see our next tick on the momentum oscillators, but I would imagine that, weekly RSI is going to confirm above the exponential. I want to see the weekly Stokes start to turn around here, though. That's what I really want to see. We don't see them as weak to the downside right here on spot prices, which is what I'm going to show right now. If we can load, there we go. Come on, baby. You can see that's a lot weaker, and we actually have a chance of crossing the upside, which would be massively fucking bullish for me. Anyways, going back to CMEs right here, let's go to the daily and see how the daily closed out. Daily, just consolidation, more or less. I'm not really seeing anything crazy here. We did just get the good cross. We just get the bullish cross on these two moving averages right here. So I do like that. Overall, this is kind of shaping out to be one massive cup and handle is what it looks like. I mean, that is quite literally what this one looks like. And we're putting in the handle right now. This measure move is going to be a lot more reliable than the one that I showed earlier on the flag formation. I've found that cup and handles much higher degree of playing out, and this one would point towards a little bit under 15,000, so 14,700. So regardless of whether you're fucking gung-ho goddamn Rambo bullish, or if you're just like Pee Wee Herman bullish, I would say that both these targets to the upside, whether it's 15,000 or 17,000, pretty fucking good, man. I just want to show that there certainly is a way forwards here in all higher time frames. Like I said before, they're bullish. I'm gonna sound like a fucking perma bull. I guess I am a perma bull right now. I'd rather be a perma bull in a bull market, though, to be fair. Looking at the monthly, come on, load. There you go, you fucker. Monthly, very good. we have a positive slope on the yellow 21 and the red 10 simple, and I just want to see that red 10 simple cross to the upside of that baby. We do see monthly Stokes straight to the sky right on over here, out of the bearish control zone for the first time in over a year. We see monthly RSI fighting for the bullish control zone for the first time in well over a year as well, since last February, like February of 2018, I mean. And more importantly, we do see that Bitcoin is consolidating, alongside the top of the Bollinger Bands right here, which is pretty fucking bullish. Usually that's setting up for another, leap to the upside, like a trend beginning to the upside on a monthly time frame. So looking at this area right on over here, it'd be akin to what we saw during 2016, essentially, where Bitcoin closes one close to the top of the top 200 band, and we actually and then it sets it up to push it. This again looks like profit taken to me last month, and then we're set up for a nice move, likely in the next coming months. And the quarterly looks even better than that, really. I mean, here here's your quarterly chart, which closed right at the top, just barely grazed it on the last closure, and on this one really looks like it wants to push it. And where we're going to push it to, I mean, when you look at it from this perspective, get rid of all of the prices on the right hand side, and you'll note that this is not that crazy. Prior highs are not just probable, are not just likely, but they're probable at this point. They're actually quite probable, and I would say probably before end of year. Looking at quarterly Stokes crossing the upside, good. We're looking at quarterly RSI back above the exponential, good. Although it really doesn't have too much information there. Jewel not going to even populate, and historical volatility percentile, fucking forget it there. Not going to be able to have it. Going back onto spot charts, going back onto the daily. I did want to show this as well. Might as well show the 200 bands on the daily. We are grazing up against the top side once again as well. But keep in mind this. The top of the 200 bands on the daily are coming in right around that 12,300 pivot, right? Which, remember, that's the blue box, which really leads on into the downward stream of effects of massive price movements. Essentially, that's kind of like the gatekeeper on all the breakups. Of course, when everyone's looking at the same fucking level, fuckery can happen. Absolutely, no doubt about that. But for the most part, as a trader, as a technical analyst, you play your edge and you play your risk, and that's just trading, man. It's not always going to work out. But more importantly, we see that the top of the 200 bands is coming in right around that critical level. So that means if we can even just close above it on a daily, well, what's going to likely happen? We actually we'll just start pushing these babies to the upside, just like you saw right on over here during very strong trending moves. That's exactly what you want to see happen. And to me, when Bitcoin's spending a lot of time within this region, I do believe that that's what's likely happening. Over time. Anyways, taking these guys back off, and let's go check out. We checked out CMEs, we checked out GBTC. Let's go check out Bitcoin dominance. Let's see how skeeted on these alts are getting right now. Bitcoin dominance is holy shit bullish. Oh my! This is gonna hit my long-term target about a couple months before I thought it might. This is pretty crazy. This is pretty fucking crazy, man. I've been saying 72% or 72. Let's actually get this right. It's gonna be about 72 and a quarter. Wow, fucking wow. Holy shit, wow. Wow. Nice. I don't really have anything else to say about it than that. It's massively bullish, and I'd still be bullish on it long term. I would say that there's probably going to be a pullback somewhere around the 72 and a quarter region, and then we'll kind of reassess it from there. But this is strength. This is fucking strength as strength gets. Damn good, and alts are in trouble for a little bit more time, I'd imagine. I'm just curious what the general altcoin looks like, which we'll go look at our lovely Cardano right on over here to judge this one. Oh no! Say it ain't so, Cardano! I will not go down to 400 Satoshis even. Nice. Fuck. Jesus Christ, man. Yeah. And I'd say that alts are probably gonna get hurt a little bit more here. Wow. Fucking powerful, man. I mean, this was your last little bounce, immediately destroyed, and continuation of the downside. Oh. Get out your Lexington Steel compilation, start playing that bitch, because that's exactly what I think when I look at an altcoin chart. At some point in time, we probably do get some massive bounces and massive movements, and then everyone's going to say, like, I called alt season. Well, except for the last couple of years, they've been pretty nasty. Anyways, okay, so we looked at that. Let's go check out traditional markets. Traditional markets had a phenomenal close on the week. Weekly closing up above the, come on, weekly, load, weekly. There you go. Weekly having a phenomenal bounce, closing back up above the yellow 21 exponential moving average. I don't think it's appropriate to be bearish in this region right now. I do think that this bounce gets extended, and this is, could it reverse back to the prior highs? Yeah, I'd say that it's not my. Technically, as a trader, you're not supposed to say that right from here, but as an opinionated person, I do think that it happens. I don't think this is bearish. I think that this is, likely gonna work its way back onwards and upwards. But more importantly, I do, regardless of my thoughts a little bit more long term, short term, I do think that the bounce gets continuation, probably back up to like the 296, 297 region, and then we'll reassess from there. But damn good close on the weekly to kind of let it be, and I would be looking for that bounce to continue, and then we'll kind of reassess if this is if this bounce gets sold into or not. not. Anyways, let's go check out the other top 2 shitcoins, Mrs. Litecoin or Ms. Litecoin, whichever one she prefers. Holy shit, fuck. Wow, that weekly is god awful. Holy shit. Next major support is about 79 bucks. Looking at daily, daily's ugly as fuck. I mean, we just bounced off the 200 simple and blue 377 on exponential moving average. My big rule is I'm never short in this region right now. This is the time that you should be closing shorts, although I wouldn't really short this either. It's probably going to bounce here most likely. That also means though, this is like a major area in the market now for Mrs. Litecoin. If this area breaks, if we close a daily doodle below this, anywhere below, let's call it, I'm going to be like very, very lenient with this, anywhere below 83 and a quarter. And I really mean anywhere below 83 and a quarter, because I'm being extremely conservative with this. I'd be looking for significant momentum being carried on to the downside. About 68 bucks would be my next target, and then we could even talk about lower than that after that happens. Looks really bad on the weekly. Daily kind of looks like a consolidation right here. It looks like the same symmetrical triangle that Bitcoin's playing out, except from a much worse posture. This one's coming off of a downtrend. I mean, that's not good. The thing is, though, if I am looking at Bitcoin, I think that Bitcoin looks, more or less good. It's unwise, and it's usually not the right thing to be bearish on one of the top market cap coins, if not just any random coin in this market. They typically move together. Very rarely do we see these stints of price action where Bitcoin and nameless and insert nameless altcoin here are moving contra versus USD versus Satoshis. Yes, absolutely, it does that by design, but versus US dollar, very rarely do we actually see that. In fact, the last time that I remember seeing that, and correct me if I'm wrong, and if you've been in this market for a while, correct me if I'm wrong, or if you remember another time sooner than this, but I believe the last time that we saw this was during 2017, end of 2017, when Bitcoin was just fucking roaring to 20,000 bucks, and some alts would go down versus US dollar, although most actually still went up with Bitcoin. So it's very rare that we see Bitcoin go up in US dollar and an altcoin goes down in US dollar like concurrently over a long period of time, which we've essentially been witnessing for the past, month or so, I suppose now. So yeah, Mrs. Litecoin needs to hold this area right here. Otherwise, big bad problems. Mrs. Litecoin, Charlie Lee's going to get all fucking skeeted over. Really, really bad. Really, really nasty and embarrassing as well. By the same token, like I said, if Bitcoin's going to pull through here, Litecoin probably doesn't break this region. And even if we do break this region, it's not going to be like a straight shot down to 68 bucks. There's probably going to be a bounce here at about 79, and then maybe another one right here, like somewhere around 72 and a quarter. But yeah, would be looking further south. Looking at Mr. Buterol, same thing, ugly as fuck. It looks like a goddamn bear flag right here, and I'd say the same thing. It's literally right on that last line of support. If we close a daily dildo anywhere below about 207. Literally anywhere below 207, I'd probably be looking at the very least a move down to like 194, but probably all the way down here towards like 180 region. That's where I'd be looking toward. This is a bear flag right here. I mean, it's quite literally, it's pretty fucking out. It's like your stock standard bear flag, and actually would have a measure move much further south than that. Oh man, don't tell Vito like this one. 130 would be the price target if it does hit. Now I actually don't find that these work out all that much, but hey, might as well talk about it. All moving averages are pretty much switched up to a bearish posture right here. We're below all major moving averages. Looks really fucking bad. The weekly is pathetic. The weekly is really, really bad. Holy shit, man. This is ugly. This is really ugly. Again, I have to say the same thing about Mr. Buterol that I said about Litecoin. When I look at this chart, do I think bearish as fuck? Yeah, absolutely. Bearish as fucking bearish gets. When I look at Bitcoin and then I compare it to Ethereum, do I think that Ethereum's going to break down while Bitcoin does not? Probably not. Historically speaking, we just don't see that happen very often. So I'd say that if Bitcoin does dip down, that's going to really spell some nastiness for a lot of these alts. And while I did say that there technically would be a target all the way down to, what was it, like 130, I don't think that we'd get there. Even if we do break down, the next major stop would probably be like 180, and that's bad enough, man. I mean, this is shitty. Shitty as fuck is what it is. As far as charts go, again, please do not take that personally as any sort of an insult towards yourself or your being. I'm just purely talking about a chart there, which that chart is ugly. It's disgusting. It needs to go fucking murder itself. Except it's probably going to do that already. Just kidding. No, terrible jokes to be making. Sorry about that. Insensitive. Anyways, looking at Bitcoin right here and wrapping this bitch up, still caught within a symmetrical triangle. I do think that we get a breakage. I guess this would actually be tomorrow because my computer is on finish time, so it's technically the 9th there right now, and this would be the 10th, so that would be tomorrow, Saturday. So again, I actually do think that we see this break probably over the weekend, break to the upside, and technically have a measure move towards about 12.6, 12.7 region. More importantly, it breaks this blue box territory right here, which would make me, think that we have resolution on the, on the formation as a whole. We'd want to see continuation, relatively quick and very violent as well. That's essentially what I'd be looking for on high volume. By the same token, if we break to the downside and we're below 11.6 to the downside, I'd be looking at a measure move back down towards about 10.9, 10.8 region. Fulfilled the retest of the red, or sorry, not the red, but the white 200 simple or purple 200 exponential moving average, whichever one happens first, and that's essentially where I'll probably try to trade out. Doesn't mean that's going to 100% work out, but a nice easy way to manage risk on it, and you're going to know extremely soon if it actually is not going to work out, which is most important as a trader, right? Anyways, with all that said, I do want to wish you well. I think I'll wrap it up here. As always, wishing you the best. And the happiest of the happiest. I'm going to be signing off now and enjoying my night. Try to relax a little bit. Take care and see you soon.